Hi everyone, thank you for joining our final hangout. We're going to be discussing some more hangouts today, and first we'll start out with Cass, science writer, and I will show you my screen. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay, so Cass, science writer is an assistant to helping students write lab reports for any science subject that they have. So basically, it's a free tool, which is great. And so you can log on and you could start a new project right here, and it'll give you the sections that you should break your lab report into already done for you, which is great. And then you can type a project name here and choose which sections you would like to have. And then you can save it and you can hit next. And as you're typing your lab report, like I said, it will break it down based on these categories over here: introduction, methods, results, conclusion. And you are able to see it in the draft staging and the edit staging and the final. So as you're doing it, you can also use sentence starters, which is great because some kids have a really hard time even just getting started and just brainstorming of what to write. So a sentence starter could be really helpful. And also Max's report and Sam's report, if you click on these, a little video will pop up to the side or right here, and you'll be able to see a example of a lab report that is laid out for the kids, which is great. And also Echo's hint, he describes what you should be writing in this section of the lab report as well. So this is really great because lab reports can be really long and time consuming and a very daunting task for a lot of kids. So to have a tool like this where they can break it down step by step, they can save it, they can go back to it, they can edit it multiple times, get opinions and examples, is really great because it'll help the writing process a lot instead of just, writing in a brick layer where you're just writing. You can go back and you can plan your lab report. And also on the home page, as you can see, they have text to speech. So not only can you talk into the microphone and it'll type your words for you, but you can also write an entire paragraph, then press play, and the computer will read it back to you, which is great too, so you can catch any errors that you have, or if you'd like to change something or add something, if it makes sense or doesn't make sense. So this is just a great tool, especially for the older kids. I'm not really sure about the young kids. I don't really know if they're going to be using this as much, but this is great for probably end of elementary, middle, and high school kids. So my next tool is electronics, and also has to do with science. This has to do with circuit making. So essentially, electronics is like a pen that when you write on a piece of paper, the line is electrically charged. So you can put a battery on it, you can put a light on it, and it'll light up. So you can buy the kits for your class, and you can get enough for the whole class. You can get enough just for a couple groups at a time to be using at the same time. And instead of having to have a million wires that get tangled and lost, you can just have these pens and these battery packs that the kids can use easily and safely, and it's not messy, and it's fairly affordable too, which is great. You can also have the kids draw stuff on the website and then print it out and then trace it with the pen. So you can have something they can draw anything. They can draw a dog or a house or whatever they want, and they can go in and put the circuits in, which is really cool. And like I said, it's not there are other products out there that are also, they also are electrically charged pens, I guess you could call it, but they're really jelly and goopy and they can kind of get messy. So this is really safe, really clean to use, and just a good tool for the kids to have in the classroom because making circuits can be a challenging thing for most students. So having a different tool in the classroom that they can use to help facilitate that and make it a little easier to understand is probably really going to help in your classroom, especially a science classroom. So that's about it for electronics and CAST Science Writer. So we will turn it over to Paige, I believe.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, let me just pull it up real quick. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay. So today I'm going to be talking about Spritz and Web 2.0 tools. Spritz is a reading technology. It's kind of hard to show because you have to actually download the software onto an iPad or an Android or like a phone. But basically it's a reading technology that helps struggling readers. So as it says here, it's a powerful education tool. The Spritz e-reader is a student's tool for mastering reading assignments. So instead of trying to make a struggling reader conform to traditional reading methods, Spritz offers an alternative text delivery approach that makes reading focused and easy. So you can also look at the science behind it. If you read through all this stuff, you can see why it was created and what its use is. And it actually shows a little video about what the eye movement difference is when you're actually reading a book and when you're using Spritz technology. When you're reading a book, your eyes move a lot, and it's hard to understand for students. But with Spritz, they completely remove the eye movement from reading. And the way that the words come on the screen just eliminates the use of eye movement. So removing the eye movements associated with traditional reading methods not only reduces the number of times your eyes move when reading, but also decreases the number of times your eyes must pass over a word for your brain to understand it. This makes spritzing extremely efficient, precise, convenient, and comfortable. So spritzing also allows students to understand whatever they're reading 10 times better than they would from reading a book. And that's what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to create better readers in the classroom. There's a couple different tabs up here, like the media tab, and this just shows you the amount of articles that have been written about Spritz and how effective it is in the classroom. There's a wide range of media that have covered it. But yeah, it's just a pretty good reading tool to have in the classroom. It's just the factor of actually getting the software usable for students and having the technology in the classroom, like iPads, for students to actually use it. But yeah, that's pretty much what Spritz is. And then we're going to go over to my second tool, which is Web 2.0 tools. This is a discovery education website, and basically it has a whole bunch of different tools on it for teachers to use in the classroom right at their fingertips. They just have to click on one of these different categories: presentation tools, video tools, mobile and community tools, and then there's related links. So they just have to choose the category that they want to look at for their specific lesson. So if they're wanting to do presentation tools, there's 3 down here, which is SlideShare, Prezi, and Pix Viewer. I've used Prezi before because of this class and because of a lot of different other classes, but I've never used SlideShare or Pix Viewer. And SlideShare is basically you can create your own presentation, but put it on SlideShare so that a whole bunch of other teachers can look at it, and it's just a very useful tool so that you can communicate different lesson plans to teachers just like yourself. And then there's Pix Viewer, where you can just make your presentations more lively and more exciting for students to follow along in the class. You can add pictures of different things that you've done in class, or pictures of real life situations, but it just jazzes up the presentation a little bit. Then we'll go back, and there are also a ton of video tools and mobile tools. The video tools are very useful because videos they spark discussion in the classroom. So if you show a student a video that you made for a specific lesson, they will immediately become interactive and participate in the classroom. So these are just some pretty good sites that you can go to create videos for your class and your lessons. And then there are mobile tools. These are for like when you create quizzes and you want your students to use their phones to, you know, click the answer that they chose. And these are some good examples of, you know, Poll Everything, Phone.io, and Jot.com. They're pretty good uses for that. And then there's community tools. I find these to be the most interesting and probably like the most helpful within the classroom because it's all about communication. And I've used Edmodo actually before when I was in high school. And it's for students and teachers to interact outside of school. Instead of having to wait for your teacher after school or talking to them before school, you can go on Edmodo and actually get in contact with your teachers, and it's faster than email, so it's very beneficial to have that in the classroom. Google Docs is great for group work because you don't have to worry about trying to meet up with your group after school. If, you know, your parents can give you a ride. You can just use technology to communicate with each other at the same time by writing on the same Google Doc. You can also create private wikis for your class, and there's Smartboard Revolution, Creative Commons, just a lot of different tools that teachers can use immediately, and they don't have to go searching around the internet to find different technology tools that they can use to make their lessons better. And that's pretty much what Web 2.0 tools is.
Very cool. It seems like there's a bunch of different options at your fingertips to enhance not only instruction, but also, you know, little like details outside of class too.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful.
Okay, cool. And we'll move on to Trevor now.
All right, so I'm going to show you two more tools, and they're both pretty different. One is a kind that has to deal with professional development, while the other is more of a classroom setting kind of tool. So let me pull it up. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay, so this first one is going to be called Formule, and this tool is basically an add-on that you can get on Google, and it's all just related to merging your emails. So what you're going to do is search Formule with two M's on Google, and it's going to be your first thing that comes up. And when you click the link, you're going to come up on this page. When you want to install the add-on, you just click this green button, and it instantly gets added on to your Google Chrome archives. So mainly this is used on Google Sheets, and what you can do is when you're creating a sheet that contains a lot of information, whether it's sending out a form to parents that are running a field trip, or whether it's coworkers, supervisors, whatever it is, form, and any of the information that needs to be plugged in, you just type in like a normal spreadsheet. You just type in the people that are receiving the emails will type in their names, their email addresses. So I'll type mine in real quick. And then whether it's, for my example, I just use session 1 and session 2, but basically anything that pertains to what you're doing with this information, you would plug into your spreadsheet. Ready to use the tool, you'll click add-ons right here on this top part, and then Formula will come up and you will just launch it. and then it'll prompt you on everything that you need to do while you're working on your spreadsheet. So you'll select the sheet that you're trying to use, and then there's timers or triggers. So a trigger is basically when you're finished setting up your spreadsheet and you want to send the email out right away, you'll just turn that on. Or if you want to do a timer, like this, and then you'll set your specific time, date, and whatever else it is. And then when you're finished with that, you're going to move on to your template, and then you'll be prompted on different forms of templates that you can use. And there's 15 different ones. And then when you're ready to decide which one you're going to use, you just one. And then if you're going to use it for a specific row or all the rows, you can do that. So I'll go back. And then you have the send for all rows button, or like I said, you can do specific rows. And then when you're finished with that, you can save. And then as you see in the bottom right corner, whenever you finish a step, it'll tell you that that part's finished. Edit your template. And in this, you're going to type in the email address of whoever's going to be the recipient of this information. So again, I'll type in my email address. And basically from there, you just form it like a normal email. So you would do a subject and body, so any other kind of just normal information that you would type in your email. And then when you're ready to preview, you're just going to hit the preview and send all button. And it'll show you exactly what will be seen by the recipients and the form that's going to be shown. So this way you know exactly what's being put out there, and you know what you need to go back and edit if you need to do that. And it's basically a great way to sheets and then when you're finished, it'll have a send status that gets inserted into sheet, and the recipient's email addresses will normally be put in this box, so that way you are aware of the status of those who got the email and are filling it out and adding to the spreadsheet. So mainly, like I said, this tool is going to be used in a more professional setting, whether you're sending it to parents or colleagues or supervisor or whatever it is. If it ever has to be used with kids, it can definitely be used in that way. You may have to take them through, but it's a fairly simple tool to use, especially for teachers and professionals in general. Tool is called Video Ant, and in this video, in this tool, it's a main source of video annotation, and it's really simple to use, and it can be really helpful for teachers. So what you can do is click New Ant, enter the URL of a YouTube video that you may be showing in your class, or you could upload a file as well if you were doing that. Video. And then when you enter the URL, you just click Load. And then your video is going to pop up here, and everything that you need to do to add your annotations will be prompted right here on the other side. There's just 3 simple instructions. So basically, I'll just add one to show you what it looks like. Okay, so if you're in the middle of the video and you want to say what something's about or add any kind of notes to the class, subject, and the content, which is basically the body of the annotation that you're adding. These annotations do is add a way for students to be able to be more involved in the video watching process during the class, because normally it can be viewed as a way to take a break from the lesson or zone out for a couple minutes. So by adding these annotations, not only can students know what they're looking for and take away some key information, but it's also archived information that they can go back to when they're trying to understand later at home maybe, or studying for a test or whatever it is. So adding these notes along the way in your video can be really helpful and can really enhance the video process in the classroom inevitably. And one final thing with this tool is that videos can be shared between members on this tool. So if you have a friend who's a teacher and they're teaching the same lesson, or they're teaching the same grade level, whatever it is, you guys can share videos with your annotations in there, so that add to your class or get an idea of what you may want to do with your class. And it's a great way to just swap information and get ideas. So it's a really simple tool, and it can be a real help in the classroom. Pretty much it for both of my tools.
I really liked Formula because I felt like you can create different different classes basically. So you don't have to have like in your email you don't have to have like hundreds of different parents, and from year to year you can like delete your Google cells. You can delete those.
Yeah, Google Sheets.
And and you can add stuff to different classes. So it's like a much more organized way to kind of email everyone. Okay, so last but not least, we have Sarah.
Okay, let me pull it up real quick. Okay, can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about two tools as well. The first one is the QR code generator. And what this is it just generates barcodes that parents or students can then use a tablet or a phone to take a picture of, and it will take them either to a website, a phone number, an event, any of the things across here. All they have to do to have access to this is download an app that reads the barcodes, and you can get a free one. They're easy to download. So it can be used in the classroom just to make it easier for students to access material, so the teacher doesn't have to walk them through step by step. You have to type this website, then go to this link, then click here. They can just scan the barcode and it'll take them directly where you want them to go. And it's also a way to guarantee they're going where they're supposed to. I've seen it in my placement where my teacher uses it. I'm in a preschool, so she in centers uses it on the iPads, and she has little cards that have the barcodes on them, and the kids use the iPads to take the picture, and it takes them to a video that then plays, and it's reading a book. So that's just a great way to get in the preschool to get kids exposed to more books and hearing stories. So it could be used just like that, or in any subject to get to a YouTube video that's explaining something, or if you want to add an event, like in classrooms where students have their own iPads, you might want to add an event when they have a test or a quiz or project or something. Or you can just type in tabs. It makes it a little more exciting for them because they get to use their tablet or phone to access it. But it can also be used to communicate with parents because most of the parents have cell phones, and it might be easier than them getting on to check their email or having to go on a computer. They can just scan the barcode real quick, and if you have a message or a website or an event, like you might want to tell them when a field trip is or different things, it's just a quick and easy way to communicate with parents as well. So that's pretty much for it. It's a pretty basic thing. I've seen them all over. They're becoming very popular. This definitely showed me a new way to use them. I hadn't thought about using them in the classroom. And then my other tool is Paper LI. And what this is an online publication. It looks like this. So it just looks like a newspaper, but it's all online, and you can access it on tablets, computers, or phones. And I really like this. What you do is you choose your topic and you type that in, and then it comes up with a bunch of different articles. So you can, like it says here, you can choose your sources, or you can let the website generate your sources. And I think that could be really helpful when you're teaching kids how to research, because that skill, there's so many little parts to researching. So this cuts out the part of students having to go through Google searches and all that kind of stuff. They just have the material, and all they have to do is filter through the material just for when they're first learning how to research. And you can also control what sources they're looking at. And then you can customize it, choose the title and how it looks. And then you can pages, you could tweet to whoever you wanted to send it out. And some of the other features that I have are scheduled updates. So if you want to update the articles on there. The editor's note, I think this could be useful in a classroom, because you could put direct students. I could see myself using this, is like assigning students. I could in there and remind them to do a reflection or answer questions. And then this is also great. It has usage statistics, and that's really good. So you can see if your students are actually looking at it, are spending time reading the article, glancing at them. So that's really good. And yeah, I'll show you how it works really quick. You just type in, so say I was doing education in the United States. I just search it, and then all of these different articles come up, and I click create a free paper. And it'll generate it into what looks like a newspaper. And then I can edit it. So I can decide, like if I didn't want this article, I can just delete it. So I can decide how many articles are there for students to look at, or if I want a very small selection. Another way I think this could be used is by including different current events, just to keep kids updated, because I know growing up I wasn't always updated on things, and I didn't always read a newspaper, but this is a great way to get kids in the habit of doing something like that. And that's pretty much it for this. Let me come back into the Hangout. Okay. So that's
awesome.
That I have.
Awesome. Yeah, I like throughout this whole Hangout process, there are so many things that I'm definitely going to use in my classroom. It's like it's been really informative, actually.
It's eye-opening, like different ways to use things that I'd heard of, but I never.
All right. Well. All right, well then. All right. Thank you for joining our hangout. All right.